Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. At this moment, our top focus this evening is the story that sources say is the most likelihood in the upcoming session of the parliament. The union government is reportedly preparing to introduce an impeachment motion against Justice Yashwant Varma during the forthcoming monsoon session of the parliament. To remind our viewers, he is the same Justice Varma who was at the center of serious allegations of substantial cash recovery at his official residence in the national capital, which reportedly came to light after a fire broke out on the night of April 8th at his residence. He was not present. Now, this step is being taken, or at least is seen being taken, after a massive outrage which followed the recovery of this cash. Many calling for judicial accountability after this and how judges in the higher judiciary are being appointed. The anger among the people has also been because, despite a three-member in-house inquiry committee of the Supreme Court, which examined these allegations and has reportedly not given a clean chit to Justice Varma, no FIR has yet been lodged, and Justice Varma has not even tendered his resignation despite the hue and cry. Before I go on and explain to you, in fact, this whole process, what will it entail, let me very quickly bring in my colleague, Sunil Prabhu, who is joining me at this moment for more details on this. Sunil, just to understand it correctly, if the government, because this is something that the opposition parties, many of them have also expressed, they wanted an impeachment motion against Justice Varma. The fact is that many are also calling this as an example of how law in this country is very different for the judges and for the common people. Do you see, this moving beyond impeachment as well? That itself will be a big event, but moving beyond impeachment as well, maybe an FIR.
Well, it will definitely be a long process, and it's extremely tedious and a cumbersome process. Whether there will be a possibility of an FIR or not, that we'll have to wait and see, because, as I said, the impeachment process is such that every member of parliament, it can't be a government-sponsored motion. They can back it. Members of the BJP as well as the ruling NDA can sign the motion, but each member is expected to individually, exercise his mind and sign that petition, as has been the case when opposition have moved similar motions against various other judges. Whether it's been accepted or not or rejected, we have seen in the case of Deepak Mishra. Is this the first time that the Chief Justice of India has written to the Prime Minister for the impeachment of a judge? No. There have been earlier occasions, Ranjan Gogoi writing in 2019 in a similar case like Yashwant Varma. This relates to Justice Shukla, who was asked and kept away from work, just like Yashwant Varma, and not kept anywhere, but they decided not to act against him. In this case, because, as you said, the public outrage, the overwhelming media attention that has come with the fact that, we saw notes being burnt and being made public by no less than the Supreme Court, it has led to the question of whether he should be impeached or not. But once that motion is accepted, there will be an independent committee consisting of judges as well as an independent legal jurist who will go and find and look at the merits of the case, independent of the Supreme Court monitored committee, to decide whether he is guilty or not. And then, of course, you require 2/3 majority in both houses of parliament and at least half of them present, because we have seen in the case of Justice Ramaswamy in the 90s, where he was technically impeached, but there were less than half the members, and so you couldn't go across the procedure, and that is why it stopped. And of course, Justice Soumitra Sen's case, he was impeached technically from the Rajya Sabha, but he wasn't able to succeed in the Lok Sabha, and he resigned in between on that crucial day when it was going to be taken up. And that's the reason for how there hasn't been since independent India one single judge being impeached. So it's going to be a long procedure. It's early days. We'll have to wait and see how things play out.
And that's the big question. Does the government set the ball rolling in the upcoming session? We'll have to wait and see, but at least credible sources indicating to that. Sunil, thank you for joining us. Like Sunil was saying, it's a very long drawn process. So let me very quickly, ladies and gentlemen, give you a sense of what the impeachment process looks like and how it will play out if the government does bring it a sort of motion in the parliament in the upcoming session. The motion it will be given to the speaker or the chairman. Remember, speaker in the Lok Sabha and the chairman in the Rajya Sabha. 100 Lok Sabha MPs and 50 Rajya Sabha MPs must sign the motion if, in fact, this impeachment process has to begin. Now, 3-member probe panel is then formed to look into the allegations against the judge, and then, of course, the panel, if found guilty, House then takes up the motion of impeachment. There have been 2/3 of the members of both the houses must vote in favor. And then, of course, when the motion passes, then it is sent to the president for the approval. And after that, of course, the judge is removed. All these safeguards have been put in the constitution of our country so that the judges can work without any kind of retribution, fear or favor specifically from, let's say, the government of the day. But this also then renders some other questions that we'll tackle in just a moment. Now, very quickly, let me tell you who are the judges against whom these cases, impeachment motions, in fact, have been leveled. And what happened so far? No successful impeachment process has taken place since then, since the independence. And this would be, if it happens, would be the first time. Remember, in the 1990s, Justice V. Ramaswamy, and these are serious corruption cases against the judges. He faced the corruption charges, and then he was the first judge to face the impeachment motion. It also, what happened in the 2007, Justice Soumitra Sen, Calcutta High Court, misappropriation of public funds was the charge against him, and impeachment motion was moved, and before it completed, he resigned as the judge. In 2008, Justice Nirmal Yadav, Punjab and Haryana High Court judge, prosecuted for corruption, and in 2011, ladies and gentlemen, Justice P.D. Dinakar, Sikkim High Court judge, allegations of land grab. He resigned, before any impeachment process could begin. There were serious allegations against the former CJI, Justice Ranjan Gogoi, though at that point of time he was not the Chief Justice. In 2019, sexual harassment charges were leveled against him, cleared by the in-house panel of the Supreme Court. Remember, it was also Justice S.K. Gangli of the Madhya Pradesh High Court. Sexual harassment charges were also leveled against him, and he was cleared of charges by an inquiry panel. Now, remember, ladies and gentlemen, this has also come into scrutiny as far as the judges are concerned. Should there be another mechanism, a relook into how, if these serious allegations are leveled against judges, what can be done? I'm being joined at this moment by Mr. Vivek Tanka, Senior Advocate, Supreme Court, also a member of Parliament, Rajya Sabha. So thank you so much for speaking to us at this moment. Let me first begin by asking you, sir, many opposition parties and also people from the legal fraternity have in fact asked, or at least have expressed a view that their impeachment process against Justice Varma should be initiated. How do you view the government's point of view if it does take place in the monsoon session?
Thank you for calling me, but let me tell you that about 3, 4, 5 days back, I'm the one who wrote a letter to the Vice President of India, who happens to be the chairman of the Rajya Sabha.
Yes.
Well, pointing out to him that there is an impasse. You, the Prime Minister and the President's office have received a copy of the inquiry report from the Supreme Court. And after that, 3 weeks have elapsed and nothing has happened. And if you want to initiate a motion, it is the MPs who have to do it. And if you want us to initiate a motion, at least give us the material so that we can study that material and initiate the motion. Now, none of that has happened. So I'm only wondering that this is not a motion which a government brings. It's a motion of members of parliament who have to apply their mind. And the least that the government can do is to give us a copy of that report. And if it's a confidential report, then how do we start the motion then? I mean, I don't know. Is it only on the basis of television footages or what was printed in newspapers? I think it has to be more than that. And another caveat, I mean, I would like to give is that why wasn't an FIR registered? Why wasn't investigation ordered? And why aren't those findings placed before us so that it becomes easy for us to initiate the motion? So if you're expecting members of parliament to sign on a motion, which is a serious issue, and this is a very serious issue which has come to public light, the least the government can do is to give us the material on which this action is supposed to be initiated.
So then may I then ask you, because what you have said, why weren't these things made public or at least given to the member of parliament? Because there have been PILs which have been filed in the Supreme Court as well, asking for the same. Why wasn't FIR registered and all the material or the in-house hearing that the Supreme Court conducted, the 3-member panel, why were the findings of that not made public? What is your view on that, sir?
No, I don't think Justice Ramaswamy's case came in the way. If they wanted to register an FIR, they don't have to name the judge for that. Judge was not available in the house when the incident happened. And they could have registered an FIR, started an investigation, and if in the course of investigation they found incriminating circumstances, they could have asked the Chief Justice of India to give the permission. Why wasn't that done? I mean, we kept asking in the parliament, in the last parliament, that we want something from the government. The vice president, our chairman, was very sympathetic. He says, yes, it's a very serious issue and we would like it to be addressed with all the seriousness. But the law minister and the government never came forward with any statement before us.
Like you are saying, the vice president also made certain remarks regarding this, and he also said that it is time to review and relook as far as just not the appointment of higher judiciary, but also the code of conduct as far as the judges are concerned. Like you said, sir, this has also outraged a lot of people that, in one country there can't be two laws. Whether you are a judge or a common person, if this kind of a recovery is made at your house, there are certain procedures laid down. Is it time to relook how the code of conduct, or at least, process some SOP if certain cases of this nature arise, that can be initiated at least, so that there is, not one country, two laws sort of situation that the common man feels at this moment?
Supreme Court in 1996 or around that time came out with this in-house procedure. And they said, whenever we get a complaint, we will like to institute our own inquiry, which is an in-house inquiry. And that is what they did. But it had not envisaged a situation where bundles of notes would be recovered from a house of a judge. My question to the government is that when there was a conduct bill which was introduced in the parliament some way back in 2013-14, why wasn't that taken forward? Why did you drop it? And then I initiated a private member bill to bring a law for the conduct of judges. It was listed once, but there was some problem and that particular session didn't take place. And next time when it was listed, I got a letter from the Parliament Secretariat that it has some provisions of finance bill, so you can't introduce it in Rajya Sabha. So I think the government was never serious about bringing a law for the conduct of judges.
In the end, sir, cases like these, or at least what is happening around it, they do in a way erode the trust of the public as far as the judiciary is concerned. You are an esteemed member of this entire judicial system. How do you think that the trust can be restored? Because despite the Supreme Court's in-house panel, like you said, the findings have been so tightly guarded, things have been so opaque that people still think that there is an attempt to save their own.
That, people are in a state of shock. The event itself sent ripples across the nation. The problem that I see today is that if judiciary wants to regain the trust of the people, it has to show to the world that not only that integrity is an important issue in the system, but anybody who breaches that integrity code must be punished with as swiftly as possible. You can't be having such lame duck procedures which go on for months, which go on for weeks. and the system doesn't respond.
Mr. Tanka, thank you so much for speaking to us at this moment. This is a very, very important, discussion, debate. And as Mr. Tanka had written also about it, we are hoping that, through this, in this session, whether the impeachment motion does come or not, there are certain important milestone policies, codes and procedures that's set, because the trust in the judiciary is the very bedrock of people hoping, thinking of justice in our democracy. Mr. Tanka, thank you for joining us at this moment.